lead us in the pledge, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How about a roll call now?
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that.
Okay. Bob Lucy, Chair.
Here.
Marsha Burkbigler, Vice Chair.
Here.
Kitty Jung via phone.
Present.
Vaughn Hartung via Zoom. Is he
Mr.
there?
Chairman, I have no audio. I can't hear a thing. I know that it's happening, but I can't hear anything.
You can. Can you hear me now? No, still? Yes, no?
No.
All right, well, let's,
Okay.
I can't hear you guys.
I'll continue with roll call while
yeah,
we
go ahead with
figure it
roll
out.
call and I'll work with them.
Jeannie Herman.
Here.
Fire Chief Charles Moore.
Here.
Deputy District Attorney Mary Canderas. And I'm Jan Galasini, County Clerk. Sir, you have a quorum.
Chief, we're on to item 3, sir.
Item 3 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the Board of Fire Commissioners' agenda. The district will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the Board of Fire Commissioners as a whole. Madam Clerk, is there any public comment?
We do. We have Mr. Bob Parker.
Mr. Parker. Didn't even notice you. The mask throws me off. Doctor, how are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you. Thanks. It's nice to see you in person.
This being the end of a very difficult year, I just want to thank all of you for the support you have given to the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District. We have a marvelous group of people. They respond, they're well managed, they're well planned, and especially Commissioner Burkbigler, whose district oversaw part of the county down here, and also Incline Village. Mike Brown probably isn't here, but at any rate, it all came out very well for now. We hope you guys will continue to support Chief Moore and the Fire Protection District, because, like we say, where I live in Galena, we have newer houses and older people. So the paramedics that some fire districts don't care about are very important. Pre-hospital transport is very important, and occasionally some idiot takes their ashes and puts them out in the weeds. Right?
Yeah.
It happens over and over again. Thank you all very much for what you do.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Appreciate it. Any further public comment?
I have nobody signed in
All right.
on Zoom. Is there anybody?
And it sounds like Commissioner Hartung. Can you hear us now, sir?
I can, yeah, thank you,
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
all right, so Madam Clerk, should we show the record that Commissioner Hartung is now functionally on Zoom with us?
Thank you.
All right, Chief, we'll close public comment. We are on to item 4, sir.
Item 4 is Commissioners' Fire Chiefs' announcements, requests for information, topics for future agendas, and statements relating to items not on the agenda. No discussion among commissioners will take place on this item.
All right. Chief, do you have anything?
I just wanted to wish Commissioner Burkbigler the best success going forward and express what a delight it has been to work for you, Commissioner, and all the best success going forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Herman, I'm looking right at you. I'm sorry. Commissioner Herman. Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank all of you in the wonderful Truckee Meadows. You guys are fabulous. It's been a great pleasure working with you for the last 8 years and with you, Chief. And so I know that I am leaving this county in excellent hands, and I don't worry about it at all. And I wish you all a very happy holiday. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Hartung, do you have any comments this morning?
I want to wish Commissioner Burkbigler well. Thank you so much for your service. Madam Vice Chair, you'll be missed. And I have nothing for fire, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Jones.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. I do, it's gonna be a tough day today. This is not an easy day, and we've been sitting next to each other for the last 6 years, and it's been an honor to serve alongside of you. I think you've done a phenomenal job, not only for your district, but for this county. And I do wish you the best. I know wherever you go, whatever you choose to do going forward, whether it's play with those beautiful dogs of yours or, it will be always a great time with you around. So thank you so much for all your service. We appreciate it, especially here at Truckee Meadows Fire Protection. All right, item 5, Chief, this is our consent agenda.
Item 5 is consent items, item 5A, 5B, and 5C for the board's consideration.
All right, thank you, Chief. Are there any items on the consent agenda that any commissioner would like to have any more detailed discussion or explanation on? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to accept the consent agenda. I have a motion from Vice Chair Burkbigler. Do I have a second from Commissioner Herman? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously with all commissioners voting. All right, Chief, we are on to item 6, sir.
Item 6 is a recommendation to accept a donation from NorCal EVI in the amount of $3,251. This is a donation for an emergency light package on the UTV that was donated to the district a few months ago. This vendor is the vendor who installs our radios and emergency lighting equipment on our vehicles, and we're grateful for his generous donation. We recommend approval.
Fantastic. All right. Yeah, this UTV we use quite often, extensively. We've used it all summer long on fires throughout California and in Nevada. Well, I think most recently on the Collin fire, did we not? And to do some spot shots, correct? Mm-hmm. It's a phenomenal piece of equipment, and we do appreciate the donation. Thank you, NorCal EVI. I mean, this is a unit that saves multiple lives and protects multiple homes. So with that, looking for a motion to accept. I have a motion from Vice Chair Burkbigler, second from Commissioner Herman. Do we have any public comment, Madam Clerk?
We do not.
Seeing no public comment, close that. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right, Chief, item 7.
Item 7 is a recommendation to accept and express thoughtful appreciation for a monetary donation in the amount of $1,000 from Mr. J. Edward Trapp for the use at Station 33 on Foothill Road. This came out of the blue, and we're certainly grateful to Mr. Trapp's generous donation.
Wow, that's fantastic. Mr. Trapp, $1,000 is a major donation to our operations, especially at Station 33, that new station, and it serves as one of our focal stations for the South District and for the Southern Battalion. So thank you, Mr. Trapp, for your generous donation. Looking for a motion to accept the donation. I have a motion from Vice Chair. Second from Commissioner Herman. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Public comment.
Public comment. Thank you, Commissioner Jung. Was there any public comment on the donation, Madam
There is
Clerk?
nobody signed in.
Nobody signed in. Thank you very much. All right, Chief, we are on to item 8, and this is the one that we look forward to pretty much every year. Mr. Chris Salcom, he is, I believe, with us via Zoom this morning, is he?
Good morning. Hi. Yep, I'm on here.
All right, Chris, good to see you this morning, or at least hear you. It's nice to see you and hear you. And this is our National Service Winter Outlook, talking about water and how this is going to hopefully shape up for a better fire season next year.
Yeah. So it's definitely been an interesting fall and into early winter so far. Definitely stayed a lot drier than we typically would in a normal fall. So I'm going to get you guys up to speed on that, and then kind of what our outlook is for this coming winter. So I'm going to share my screen here. Share the screen, and there we go. Okay. Good deal there. Sharing the screen, and there's my son Carson. In case you wanted to say hi to him. He's enjoying the snow there. This is actually back in March of this year when winter finally showed up. We had, obviously a dry winter until then. So he enjoys that. Most of you know that I'm not exactly the most pro snow guy in the world, but even now, I'll take some. We could use it. We could use some moisture in the area. So there's the other subunit there, Savannah, giving me a cold water bath after one of my ill-conceived runs this summer. It was 92 with an AQI of 150. Probably not my best idea, but probably not my worst idea either. So we ended up with the second warmest August and September combined on record for both Reno and Tahoe City. So very, very warm end to summer. We set a new record for the hottest day in September on record at 102, and also the latest 100-degree day on September 5th. So again, more stats to show it was very warm and very dry going into summer and early fall. And so then going into October, I was up on the Rim Trail getting some miles in, and it was still very hazy from the Creek Fire southwest of Mammoth that just kept producing smoke for the region. This is one of the areas that, during the pandemic, we actually developed new partnerships and new means of supporting our partners in the community. And one of them that I wasn't expecting, but is helping the school district. They needed weather support with the smoke forecasting because they had to bring in fresh air into the classrooms. And when it was too smoky, they couldn't have in-person instruction because of COVID. And so we helped them with that support. Again, not something I was expecting to be doing, but here we are in 2020. So October ended up being the 8th warmest on record for Reno and Tahoe City. Now remember, these records go back to the late 1800s. So that is a statement along with that second warmest August and September. But I think this is the biggest one, is for the first time in recorded history at Reno, we had a totally dry September and October combined. Not even a single drop of rain, not a trace, nothing. We couldn't buy rain in those 2 months. And again, that's a pretty big statement considering how long the period of record is back to the late 1800s. So usually we get a storm of some flavor one of those 2 months, but this year we didn't have either. And so that really set the stage for what unfortunately happened in November with the fires. Just the fields were just so dry as we went into fall. So this summer and fall, everyone gets a red flag warning. Kind of bring out your best Oprah Winfrey there with everyone gets a car. Everyone gets a red flag warning. We had smashed the record for the number of red flag days here in the Sierra Front Fire Weather Zone at 29 days. 26 in 2012 was the next closest in the number there. So a lot of these were for actually thunderstorms with little or no rainfall. We didn't have a ton of wind this summer and into at least the early parts of fall. We actually had more days where our concern was dry lightning events. So that explains a lot of those red flag days. And there's a picture from the Martis Peak camera looking over Truckee on September 5th. Kind of looks like Mars there, and that's a lot of our sunsets were looking like this past summer. But then November 8th, late October into early November, the pattern changed and we finally got some snow. And this is a picture from our friend Jeff Page over in Lyon County from Yerington. Looks nice and healthy there, good snowfall amounts. We actually had well over a foot of snow to the south of Reno, the Carson Valley over toward Yerington. We picked up about 4, 5, or 6 inches of snow, depending where you're at. Quarter inch, third of an inch of water equivalent out of that snow. So pretty much fire season was done as far as we were concerned at that point. The third largest single day snowfall on record for Yerington. That's a pretty bold stat right there. And also the coldest high temperature on record for November 8th at Reno. We only hit 34 degrees. So with that, again, we thought fire season was pretty much done. Well, unfortunately, that was not the case. Come November 17th, we hit 78 miles an hour with a downslope windstorm in Reno at the Reno airport. This ended up being the 10th highest wind gust on record since 1970 at the Reno airport. So obviously this prompted the large fire in the Collin Ranch area. We also have a devastating fire in the Walker-Colville area south of us. We're still helping them out with fire recovery weather briefings there. The wind gust gusted to 90 miles an hour in that community. And then we also had another wind-driven fire near Doyle. So this was a bad day for fire. In hindsight, the fuels were unfortunately still quite dry. They didn't really absorb a lot of that moisture from the snowfall. So there's a picture from your all's team of the Pine Haven fire. Just not something you want to see any time of year, but especially in mid-November. It's like, wow. And then very reminiscent of the Collin Ranch fire in 2011. This is a picture. If you had to encapsulate 2020 in a nutshell, at least weather-wise, this might be one of them. Of course, we saw all the pictures from like the Creek Fire of like the nuclear bomb-looking pyrocumulus clouds coming off of these fires. But here is another one on a fire in mid-November. I mean, this is from the fire down by Walker and Colville. Not something you're going to see. And you know, honestly, my expertise is not, climate and climate change, but I can talk to you about what I see as a day-to-day weather forecaster. But honestly, this image right here is just like, boy, if you don't think the climate's changing and our environment's changing, this is it right here. To see a pyrocumulus cloud on a large hot fire in mid-November is just not something you would expect. So, fortunately, the fuel moistures from that snowfall that we had in November 8th did not improve. Now, the blue line here is tracking the fuel moisture levels at the Galena RAWS fire weather station, and the fuel moisture axis is here on the left. These red bars are the water equivalent moisture from the precipitation at the Reno airport, and the axis is here on the right. So you can see, wow, look at all this moisture that we got from the snowfall on November 8th. Well, it's only a very trivial improvement in the fuel moisture at the Galena RAWS. Unfortunately, this was after the fire event, but when we did switch over to actual rainfall, even though it was less moisture, we did have more of a bump there at the Galena RAWS. So I think in hindsight, we saw that the snowfall just didn't do a whole lot to improve fuel moistures in the region, especially since a lot of it evaporated and melted off and evaporated so quickly afterwards, and the fields are just so dry. So going into the future, now this screen capture is from about a week ago when I had to submit the presentation, but at that point the Galena RAWS was still showing fuel moistures below 10%. Now I did check this morning and it is in the low to mid 20s. So that's really good news locally, that at least our fine fuels are moistening up with some of the precipitation we've had, and we're expecting more rain and snow coming in tomorrow night and into Thursday. So that's good news locally for our fire risk. Of course, we can never let our guard down if we have a high wind warning day, but this is good news compared to what it was even just a week ago. We definitely have more moisture into the system now. So on the snowpack, we are a little bit behind on the snowpack going into December now that we are into that prime snow accumulation month. The green line is the average snow water content for the Truckee River Basin, and the black line is where we are at this year, at least up until about a week ago. So we are going to get a little bit more with the storm coming in tomorrow night, but not a whole lot more. And so we are definitely starting to fall behind on the snowpack situation. So unfortunately, drought is coming back, and this will get me into the outlook, and then I'll wrap up here. Is that this time last year, our region was just in this sort of abnormally dry situation, nothing really noteworthy. But this right now, we are in a significant drought situation, and I think this is in terms of local, water supplies. From what I understand, we're pretty good. The Lake Tahoe's doing all right. We've got plenty of water there. But the issue is going to be more of our rural communities and those that depend on that yearly precipitation. Also the vegetation. We're going to start seeing more impacts to vegetation in our rural areas and the mountain areas as well, if we don't end up with a average or a wetter than average winter. So we are in this D2 severe drought situation right now. This D4 is expanding, and it's actually pretty striking across the southwest U.S. We're close to some records. The number is actually 9.9% of the U.S. is in this D4 drought. So it's starting to look a little bit ominous there in that respect. So we'll have to keep an eye on this if we end up with another dry winter, that this could have a big ramification for the fire season for next year. So we are going into a La Nina winter this year, with the tropical Pacific is cooler than normal. And for us, unfortunately, there's really no statistical relationship on what that means for us. We've had very dry La Nina winters here in the blue dots, but we've also had very wet La Nina winters in these blue dots here at the higher end of the precipitation spectrum on the vertical axis. 2016, 2017 was officially a neutral year. It was neither, but it was almost a weak La Nina. So again, there's a wide spectrum of possibilities going into the rest of this winter. So even though it started off very slow, we could end up getting busy in a hurry. And you all know, you've all lived here long enough to know that all it takes is a few really strong storms to drop a bunch of rain and snow, and boom, we're right back in business in terms of water supply and snowpack. So the official models, the left-hand image is the one that's most important. This shows you the precipitation anomalies here, and it's favoring drier than normal in the southwest U.S. and wetter than normal in the Pacific Northwest. And again, we're right in between. So that means basically anything is possible for this coming winter. And these pie charts show it quite nicely, that really any scenario is on the table, leaning a little bit warmer than normal for the outcome, but overall, really still any scenario is on the table. We still have quite a bit of room left. Rest of December, January, February, and frankly, March has started to get busy too as well in recent years. So don't count us out until we get at least to the end of March. In terms of flood risk, I think right now we're probably below average just because the soils are so dry and the reservoirs and lakes do probably have a little bit more room in them just because of the dry summer that we've had and the below average winter that we had last year. But if we end up with a series of very wet storms, flooding on the Truckee River and the other creeks could become an issue. But right now the risk is probably, if you took a snapshot right now, it's probably below normal.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you please?
My Siri decided to activate while I was talking. That's awesome. So I do want to touch on this and then I'll finish up. We are in a situation where we've had a number of fires in the area and we do have to be worried about post-fire flooding. And so this is a picture from a debris flow on the Slinkard fire. This is actually from 2018 where we had a debris flow and mudslide that crossed Highway 395 and impacted travel there. And so generally, with these debris flows, the predictability of them is we know where the fire was and we typically know how cooked the soil was, but we can't necessarily anticipate with any meaningful lead time to be able to provide a warning to residents that, hey, you're about to see a significant flooding situation. So it's always good messaging to tell residents that have been near a fire that really anytime it rains heavily, even just for 5 or 10 minutes, that we could see some of these enhanced flows coming off of these burn scars. And so here's another picture of one near up in Plumas County, just as an example. But generally, we're looking for about a 1/4 inch in 15 minutes or 1 inch an hour rainfall rate that would trigger some of these floods off of the burn scars or enhanced flows. So I think this is a really important message for our communities, the Pine Haven fire, and then of course the fires up near Red Rock, and then the Poville fire. This is the one that was off of Peavine back in late June. While the risk is probably not the highest in the world, just because these fires were not as hot as, say, the big fires in California, like the Loyalton fire or the Creek fire, but they still were significant. And so there's a non-trivial increase in the flood risk coming off of these burn scars. So really the key message is anytime we have heavy rainfall, there is an increased risk of seeing some of this flooding coming off of these burn areas going into the winter months. So that's what I've got. There's my contact info, but I think most of you know how to get a hold of me anyway. That's what I got. So I'll stop sharing my screen and that's it. Any questions?
Awesome, Chris. You know, always super informative. We love having you come in and present to the board. It's, you know, always such a helpful and very detailed conversation, but at the same time, very lighthearted and always makes us all smile when we have some tough things to talk about.
I try and keep it real. It's always, you know, especially in a year like this year, there's so much negative stuff going on. It's like, where we can, we try and have a little fun. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, just looking at your kids, that's a good start. I'm going to turn it over to the commissioners. Madam Vice Chair, do you have anything this morning?
No, other than to say thanks. It's always interesting hearing what you have to say and the perspective of how it's going to impact us. And obviously, the burn issue is a big issue for us this year because we've had some very close to the city. So it will be something we watch, and we thank you very much for all you do for us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As always, great presentation. Here's what I take away from you after all these years. Number one is nothing can be predicted scientifically within for more than 3 days out. And number two is to always keep my eyes and ears open for inside sliders. Is there something else I'm missing when I'm, and this is me as a skier, not wanting to wait till March to ski, but as well as somebody who has to make sure we're fully equipped for any, what else am I missing, sir?
So in terms of, I guess I don't follow the question.
Me being able to predict the weather. Anything over 3 days is just a chance odds. And the other one is always look for inside slider for flooding events, rainstorm events, snow events. Is there something else I'm missing?
No, so the predictability piece, generally within 3 days, I think we have a pretty good sense of what's coming our way. I mean, there's always little details, but generally we have a good sense. But in that 4 to 7 day, that's where we give you that general outlook, like, hey, something's on the way. Keep your eyes peeled to the forecast. In terms of, the significant weather events, the inside slider is a big one for us just because it tends to deposit just a little bit of cold snow, and it's just enough to cause mayhem across the area. The other big one are the atmospheric rivers. Those are the ones to keep an eye on. So if you're looking for flooding, if you start hearing the phrase atmospheric river from us, that should, perk your mind up like, oh, okay, this could be something that could cause some high water issues.
Thank you very much. I think I've said this to you before, but it's obvious that you love what you do, and therefore you're wonderful to have as a presenter. So thank you for that.
Yep, thank you for the kind words.
Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Smallcombe, as always, great presentation, an eye-opener. We appreciate how detailed you get. I'm always intrigued by how the weather is predicted in the long term and the long range outlook, and I somewhat agree with Commissioner Jung that it's hard to know until it gets up close enough which direction it's going to go. Does it go to the north, or does it go to the south, or does it just fizzle out? But it's good to have these discussions so that we can prepare. We can start talking about what our water reserves are and how we deal with it, just from a drinking water perspective, but then of course from a fire perspective, how we approach this in terms of readiness, because we know we certainly know, sadly, that fires, it's not an if, it's when. Yeah. And of course, this helps us to deal with somewhat of the severities and to try to be a little more prepared. So I appreciate it. I'd love to have you come and speak at TUMWA in the not too distant future also.
Absolutely, any time. And I think that's one of the key things to take away from my talk is, we've been kind of without drought for a few years now, ever since the big winter 2016 and 17. So drought's back, and so we have to kind of change our mindset of what things we focus on. And so that, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Herman, would you like have anything?
It's excellent.
Thank you.
All right, Chris. Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful holiday. Enjoy your time with your children. Hopefully you get some decent runs in this winter without having to put on snowshoes.
Thank you. It's been good. My Garmin keeps saying I'm unproductive because I'm running too much. I'm like, oh, come on.
I actually just have one quick question for you. Based on your presentation, you talked about the La Nina year. With La Nina, those are usually kind of in my experience, just being here and not being a meteorologist, but those are kind of a gamble. Obviously, they are a little bit warmer of a pattern in regards to, but there have been some years that we've gotten pretty significant moisture that have come out of a La Nina year, but we've worried about those early spring runoffs and those floods, and I think that's one of the big concerns for us, obviously, with the burn scars. But there is potential that those those temperatures could soften, not to extreme levels in early spring, leading to those runoff. Is that true, or?
The La Ninas are an interesting beast for us. They can go big or they can do nothing, and so Historically, when we are in what we classify a weak La Nina situation, where the tropical Pacific is just a little bit cooler than normal, we have had some of our bigger flow events on the Truckee River during those winters. Of course, we've also had some fairly quiet, normal winters during those same situations there. But this year, the La Nina is a little bit stronger. It's a little bit colder in that tropical Pacific Ocean, so it's more what we classify as a medium La Nina, if you will. And so, we're still always on alert for these potential, high water situations. But if you look at the statistics, it tends to be those either neutral or weak La Nina winters that produce those. But really good observation. La Ninas are the ones where they sometimes can bite us.
Yeah, usually the El Niños will bring a ton of snow and cold weather, and those can be challenging. But the La Niñas are always a little bit unpredictable, to say the least.
Yeah, agreed. Yep.
Okay, well, great. Well, we'll keep our eyes posted, and we'll keep calling you and hopefully getting some more updated information as we move along, because having another fire season in addition to the flooding would not be of benefit next year. So,
Yeah,
all right.
agreed.
Thank you so much, Chris. This item was for discussion only, and it was always a great discussion to hear from Chris and the National Weather Service. So with that, we will close this item and move on. Chief, we are on to, I believe, item 9.
International Association of Firefighters Local 2487 report, and President Cutts is here to give you an update.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's nice to see you guys in person again.
I know it's been a while.
It's been a while.
I think the last time I was in front of you guys was in January of this year.
Yeah.
My daughter was born in late February, and then COVID kind of happened, and so it's been the better part of a year. This year has absolutely flown by, but it's felt like a decade all at the same time.
Well, just because you haven't been here, we know you've been working in the office, so don't worry about that.
It has been a heck of a year. So quick update for you on the status of our membership. COVID has been very challenging this year for us as a membership and a department as a whole. As of right now, we're wearing N95 masks in our stations and apparatus, taking full precautions on calls to try and keep our workforce up and healthy, to continue to respond to the community and be in the best place possible. I have to give all the props in the world to my membership for taking this pandemic seriously and really kind of embracing the mask culture and setting a good example for the rest of the community. So I want to make sure that's out there. Since I last saw you guys, you guys are no strangers to what we've done over the last year. We put Ladder 33 in service at Station 33. It's the first for Truckee Meadows, very exciting. We put three fuels crews in service, which has been a huge help given the fire season that we had this year. Multiple large-scale fires, which just absolutely brought out the best of Truckee Meadows. We had, at one point, more than 2/3 of our department come back in and help with the large-scale incidents that we had this summer. We've increased our transport capability from the REMSA system being over capacity with upstaffing Medic 45. I have to commend our membership again for stepping up to the plate and kind of venturing into something that we haven't really done in the past 8 years. We've had Medic 30 that's transported down in the Bowers Mansion area, but Medic 45 is kind of a new deal, and Sun Valley is one of our busiest stations, so running that medic unit in tandem with our engine has been pretty paramount to continue to deliver appropriate services to the community that we serve. Like I said, we had a very long summer with large incidents, COVID call-outs, quarantines, and a lot of mandatory situations with all those things kind of combining. So our membership is exhausted. We're looking forward to things kind of slowing down and getting into the start of winter, and hopefully next year has a better outlook for us. Over the summer, we also brought on 9 probationary employees. They're in their second quarter of their probation right now, going through the stations, which is very exciting. And I think we've hired a great group of people. With that, we're going to be looking at hiring additional people at the start of next year. We actually have our new physical agility test that's going to be held tomorrow. Last I heard after talking to Carlos, we're looking at about doing 54 people in one day. This is a new physical ability test that's going to be able to be ran completely inside the Barron Way facility, which is awesome. So we're not going to be limited by weather or booking out the RTC. This was a test that was created in tandem with management and Local 2487. It It was validated over the course of 3 days by a total of 84 personnel from our department. We had some great data that came out of it, and I'm very pleased with how that whole process worked. And really, that's kind of it for our general status update. The last thing I wanted to touch on was our letter of appreciation for Fire Commissioner Marsha Burkbigler. So Commissioner Burkbigler, we wanted to write to express our gratitude for your years of service as a Washoe County Commissioner and for your support of the Truckee Meadows Firefighters Association Local 2487. You have been a tremendous leader and have been an important part of helping Truckee Meadows Fire and Rescue become what it is today. Local 2487 wants to recognize your 8 years of faithful and outstanding service to the citizens of Washoe County. During that time, you made many contributions that helped improve fire and EMS services in the county. You've always been a strong advocate for Local 2487 and for Truckee Meadows Fire and Rescue. And for this, we are grateful. Your impact on the community and legacy of outstanding service will not be forgotten. We would like to wish you the very best in your future endeavors, and we look forward to seeing you in the community. Best wishes, Truckee Meadows Firefighters Association. Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, that's all I have, guys. Chief, would you like to do a photo op with Commissioner Burkbigler at this point? Okay, I can do that. Do you guys have any questions for me?
You know, I do. I have a quick question for you.
Absolutely.
You know, I think you mentioned how difficult 2020 has been on our personnel with the massive changes that they'd have to adhere to and kind of adapt to, so to speak. Can you kind of speak to the morale of the membership and how things are going? I know you've had a tremendously tough season. We've got new recruits. We had some changes through in promotions and through attrition and a number of different things. How is the general overwhelming feeling throughout the department from your perspective?
From my perspective, I work as a fire captain up at the said station, and I've spent plenty of time around other stations, on other battalions, and other shifts through the department. Overall, I would say morale is excellent, given the circumstances. I really have to commend our membership. They come to work with a positive attitude.
Good.
They're ready to work every single day, trying to give the best to the community. And, you know, we couldn't have done it without the tremendous support that we've had from our administration. So I have to commend Chief Moore and Chief Kukulis, Chief Ketchering on all that they've done to help us be successful in this time, given the circumstances. Right. But all in all, it's going pretty good. It's definitely been a roller coaster. Things right now are a little different. We're in N95s and stations and not eating and cooking together. You kind of lose that camaraderie, but we know it's temporary, and we know things will come back, especially with the vaccine rollout coming through, and we're very hopeful that we can kind of get back to a sense of normalcy next year.
Good, and have a lot of the membership been participating in the peer support and just for all kinds of issues outside of, you know, loss and tragedy, but just, you know, family issues and peer support amongst your guys' group. How is that going?
It's going great. You know, I really have to give commendation to Battalion Chief Reed with the Northern Nevada Peer Support Network. That network has been phenomenal for our members this year. We've had multiple members use services provided by the Peer Support Network that have helped them through some tough times, whether it's family issues or COVID or finances or whatever it may be. That Peer Support Network is vital to their success. And so I have to thank you guys for supporting us and supporting that network as well.
Well, I want to assure you from my standpoint as one commissioner on this board, I will continue to support TMFPD to the extent we always have, and will continue to do so.
Thank you.
Make sure that we keep you and the entire workforce happy and healthy, because we know how important and how difficult your jobs have been, and being, especially with this year, throwing a couple extra curveballs our way.
Yes, sir.
So. With that, we do appreciate it. Any other comments for the president?
Can I say something, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Jones.
Thank you. I wanted to thank the first responders at TMFPD and, well, actually TMFPR. And also thank you. I don't know how widely this has been disseminated, and I hope I'm not stepping over some other announcement, but I do understand that TMFPD will also be a dispensary point and a provider of vaccinations when we get to that tier level that you play an instrumental role in. And so for that, I have to say a lot of times we forget what first responders do in terms of, we know that if you're called fire and rescue, we have an idea what you're doing, but we also forget about what a fabric of our community you are in other areas of emergency that we often don't think about. So I want to thank you so much for being ready and assembled and led so well that it was a natural pick to go with you and your outreach that your fellow professional firefighters have in the community and your first response role, especially in our more unincorporated areas. So I applaud that, and I think you should put that as a feather in your cap, as well as the chief and the admin staff, because to me, when I saw that announcement from the fire chief, I was infinitely proud and infinitely impressed upon me how much more you actually do than what the name of what your title is or the name of your organization. So bravo, well done. I consider it an achievement. So good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I genuinely appreciate the hard work that the crews have done. You guys have done just an amazing job. This is not an easy time. I mean, I agree with Commissioner Jung. This is a tough time, and you guys have been out front of it and serving the community in such in a desperate scenario. And I can't imagine what it's like to show up on calls each time. You have no idea what you're walking into, just nothing. You just don't know. So protect yourselves and let us know how we can give any assistance. And hopefully the vaccine is coming soon.
Fingers crossed.
Well,
Amen.
the good news is that we did receive our first shipment this morning of the vaccine that is currently at our health district. So that is a positive note. And so hopefully we will be continue to get more of those in days and weeks to come. So we will continue to make sure that that is readily available for our membership as soon as possible. So.
I do have one more thing.
Yes.
I completely spaced it. We also had a general membership election for executive board members in November of this year. With that, I would love to thank John Sieben, one of our trustees, and my vice president, Clint Hayes, for all the work and tremendous effort they've put forth to making this union what it is and working in collaboration with the rest of the executive board and the administration to really make Truckee Meadows Fire and Rescue and Local 2487 stand above all else. So start of January, we're going to be welcoming Jamie Rivera as our new vice president and Travis Johnson as our trustee. So I wanted to thank John and Clint for all their years of service to our union.
No, that's fantastic. Your e-board has always been very astute and works very hard for your membership. So
Yes, they do.
we want to continue that, and obviously they've put a lot of trust into you guys, and you've continued to serve them well. So we look forward to making sure we can do whatever we can for you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck. Best of luck to you. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thanks. All right. With that, Chief, we will close item 9, and that was only for discussion. We are on to your Chief's report. Item 10, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the interest of time, I'll touch on just some of the more important topics and leave the amount of time for the board to ask questions. Today, we're going to be interviewing 2 firms for CMARC contractors, and the intent is to have a contractor builder work hand in hand with the architect as we develop plans for not only Station 37 in Hidden Valley, but also some Barron Way improvements, but more importantly, the consolidated station in Washoe Valley. And the intent is you get to a point where the contractor will give you a guaranteed maximum price. That is helpful as we go through bond financing, so we know exactly precisely how much money we need to float in bonds, and that just makes the process a lot more accurate. On A3, I wanted to say a big thank you to NV Energy, who is a substantial funding partner in our green waste collection program. They provided a number of funds. Even though they didn't have to, they helped us fund our fuels crews during some 20 collection points. So without that funding, we may not have been able to do so many But I want to give a shout out to my crews for the maximum effort, and we've more than tripled the amount of collection days and locations available to the public. And then finally, on A9, it's the staff's intent to bring a recommendation to the board in January to allow staff to go to the Debt Management Commission with the intent to finance the purchase of Barron Way. That facility has been an excellent building for us, not only for administration, but for logistics and warehousing and fleet maintenance. So following, if the board does approve us going to the Debt Management Commission, and the Debt Management Commission gives us the thumbs up, we'll bring back in March a resolution of intent. And after that, there'll be a 3-month waiting period. And then finally, after that waiting period, we'll be able to sell bonds. So we're looking at purchasing the building somewhere around August or September. Interest rates are still very, very attractive. So believe it or not, purchasing this building is actually going to have an improved cash flow rather than continuing to lease, because we'll eliminate the tax payments that we have to make under a lease. So it's actually going to save us money, believe it or not, buying the building rather than leasing. So with that, I'll leave it to you, Mr. Chairman, to see if there's any questions.
Okay, I will start with Commissioner Hartung. Do you have any questions for the chief in regards to his fire report?
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'll sort of work backwards, Chief. I love the idea of purchasing this building. I'm always a fan of being a sort of a landlord rather than a tenant. And that gives us a lot of stability. So I'm glad we're able to do that. Interesting environment. I never thought that these kinds of buildings would come up for sale, but I'm glad that it is, and I'm glad that we're able to potentially negotiate a good price for it, a decent price. Again, given the environment. And then I did have a question for you. I think I know the answer to this, but on the two stations, 33 and 37, are we essentially using the same architectural design that we used? I believe is it 39 out in Verdi?
For the new consolidated station?
Yes.
The intent is to model the consolidated station after the Foothill station architecturally and in terms of the layout. That has worked well for us.
So station
33.
So that would be, the station 33 is the model station. We think we're going to call the new consolidated station Station 30. So I'll use those two numbers interchangeably, but the new consolidated Station 30 is intended to look similar to Station 33 in Foothill.
Okay. It's still 14 to me, Chief. I'm sorry. How about Station 37 in Hidden Valley? Are we going to use something that we already have on the books?
Well, that station is going to be fairly unique because we purchased the house at the end of on the corner, and we're connecting that house to a new truck bay. So it'll be fairly unique in terms of design. So we're not really building residential quarters. We will add sprinkler systems and a few other an additional bedroom, and then connect that house to the truck bay with a physical walkway. So in that case, we've already paid for the residential component in the purchase of that house. Now we just need to build the apparatus bay.
Okay, no, I understand. Yeah, so that's a unique scenario. Okay, good. What's the timing on that station, Chief?
The Board of Adjustments approved that in their December meeting, and we expect to start on the refurbishing of the house that we bought. So installing fire sprinklers. I expect that the construction will begin on the apparatus bay around June.
Good. And at some point, I'd like to talk about what the plan is for 46, and in terms of what are we going to leave that there, or use that that particular parcel, or are we going to start looking for another parcel that's maybe more centrally located in Spanish Springs?
Thank you, Commissioner Hartung. That discussion we intend to initiate next year as we start to look at where the northern station should be based, not only Station 46, but also where we might move the Stead station. You know, we had talked about staffing Silver Lake and Lemon Valley possibly, and we have other alternatives of perhaps one station near the Stead Airport and also staffing the Apple station. And we'll also take a look at where 46 ought to be long-term. So that is coming probably February, March.
Okay. My only fear with that parcel, if we decide to use a different parcel, that parcel is somewhat locked, and it may not have great value if we were to put it on the disposal list. And so it's just something I guess we've got to think about. And if we do have to move, then perhaps we can, and I'd love to be part of these conversations, enter into some negotiations with developers and property owners in the region to help us, as it were, with a new location. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Commissioner Hartung. Commissioner Jung, do you have anything?
No, I think that's great. You're going to the debt commission, and I also believe that getting into the leasing business as a government entity is the opposite of what I believe government should do. We should not be Johnny-come-latelys based on our lease agreement or the market. We should own our own facilities and buildings, and as much as we need facilities and buildings, which I believe we won't in the future, but certainly when it comes to fire and the roads, those type of physical activities that are necessary and will be for 20 years at least, I think we should be rightful owners of our facilities, because it also stabilizes the whole neighborhood that you're in, which provides a social and economic benefit for the surrounding areas and a sense of place. So I've always advocated for that, and I think it's a good idea. And really, when it comes to being able to do what you want to do, you always want to be able to own your own land and facilities. So I completely endorse that. Good job. Thank you, Mr. Chief.
All right, Chief, I have nothing more other than good job, and we continue the course. We've done some great things this year, even amidst the challenges, and I think we're posed to do some great things in 2021. So thanks, Chief. Madam Vice Chair, I don't have you signed in. Do you want to have anything?
I just have one quick question. Have you put the other house in the Hidden Valley up for sale yet?
The listing agreement is in my inbox, and I just need to log on and sign it.
Okay, so that process has begun already. Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, Chief. This is for discussion only, so we'll close 10. And we were on to item 11.
Item 11 is a resolution of appreciation for Commissioner Marsha Burkbigler, and if I may present that to the Commissioner at the podium. And,
Yes, please, Chief.
And ask my deputies to join me, as well as President Cutts.
Are you Vaughn? Are you really?
You don't look like Vaughn.
I didn't even realize it. I always just sit there, so I never even know.
Mr. Chairman, this is Resolution TM 21-2020 to recognize and express appreciation for Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District Board of Fire Commissioner Marsha Burkbigler. Whereas Marsha Burkbigler has served as a Truckee Meadows Board of Fire Commissioner since January 2012, and whereas during her time as a Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District Commissioner, her leadership has enhanced fire service throughout the district, increasing public safety for the entire region, and whereas Commissioner Burkbigler's commitment, insight, and dedication have earned her the trust, respect, and appreciation of citizens volunteer and career members of the fire service, district staff, and fellow elected officials. And whereas Commissioner Burkbigler's leadership and support of the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District's goals and objectives to improve public safety has been respected and an esteemed elected official throughout her tenure of service. And whereas on behalf of all members of Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District, we extend our sincere appreciation to Commissioner Marsha Burkbigler for her outstanding integrity, commitment, and dedication to the district and its residents, and her leadership to the fire service and public safety in our region. And be it further now, therefore, with grateful appreciation, be it resolved by the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District, its heartfelt wishes to Commissioner Burkbigler and every success and satisfaction in her future endeavors, both personal and professional, dated this 15th day of December 2020. Marsha, thank you again for your service, and you're going to be missed by all of us, and especially me, and we wish you the very best going forward.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you so much to all of you guys. I can't tell you how great it's been to work with such a terrific fire department. You guys are wonderful. You do great things for the citizens. You always put the citizens first, and your entire team has been just terrific to work with. And so thank you very much. Thank you for this.
Thank you. And we want to give you something that's a little more durable than the sheet of paper.
Oh, very pretty.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Chief, can we do a photo? Can we do a photo op with her right here, please?
Oh, really wonderful.
Can't tell I'm smiling, but I am. It's under there. Shows in my eyes.
We'll have to Photoshop our smiles. in
Yeah,
there.
that's exactly right.
Let's do one. Let's go right here.
Commissioner Burkbigler, I told you this is going to be a tough day. We are gonna get through this, right? Any last comments from you, Jan? Okay. I think that obviously you can see the love and dedication from a group of individuals in a short 8-year period of time that you have earned so much of their trust and gratitude and dedication. You have done tremendous things. Those footsteps will be very difficult, and shoes will be very difficult to fill in years to come. So thank you for your continued service. All right, this is for possible action. Obviously, this is a resolution, so I will make the motion to accept the proclamation on behalf of Fire Commissioner Marsha Burkbigler for her years of service. Do I have a second? I have a motion, and a second. Do I have any public comment? Seeing no public comment, I have a motion from myself, second from Commissioner Hartung. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. Chief, let's get on to the fun stuff of the afternoon or the morning. This is item 12.
Financial statements for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2020. The auditors are on the line. Ms. Vance will give you a brief presentation. In preface, I will just say the district is in excellent financial shape at the moment, and Ms. Vance's guidance of our budget, we intend to keep it that way.
Good morning, Fire Commissioners. Cindy Vance for the record. We have on the line, I believe, Tammy Miramonte. She's the shareholder in charge. And I'd like to also thank her for all her hard work, and Kurt Slicker, who is the audit manager, for all their hard work. So we, as Chief Moore said, we are in a good financial position. The audit went very well, and we have a clean opinion with no audit findings. I'll touch quickly on some of the funds, mostly the general fund. We ended with a fund balance of just over $11 million, and that is up about $2.5 million, or about 20, it's about 27.6% for the current year, sorry, actually 27% increase over last year's increase. Most of the increase is due to mitigating costs at the end of the year due to the COVID pandemic, but still having our revenues actually come in strong. Our revenues were 8% over budget, and our expenditures were 3.5% under budget. So we did cut costs, but our revenues actually stayed fairly steady even with the pandemic. So we were lucky to end with a fund balance of just over 11 million, which is about 38% of current year fiscal year 20 expenditures. That puts us in a good position for this, to address this pandemic, which actually our revenues have stayed consistently strong. The capital fund, we did issue debt in fiscal 20 of $4.4 million. You'll see an ending fund balance there, about $7.5 million. Most of that is the unspent bond proceeds, as the apparatus are still in construction. We spent about $2.5 million in expenditures out of our capital fund, which included our Washoe Valley land purchase of ladder truck, and refurbishing vehicles. We can have 4 other funds in our financials. They are the emergency fund, which is used for major wildfires, usually over 24 hours, and that's self-replenishing through the Wildlife Fire Protection Plan. We have our workers' comp fund, which is used to pay workers' comp invoices to the city of Reno. A stabilization fund, a small stabilization fund in case of declines in revenues. And our sick and annual comp fund, which is used to fund the unfunded, or help offset the unfunded liabilities for compensated absences when people leave the district or retire. Those are some fairly significant payouts. The government-wide funds, those actually pull together the whole district as a whole and put it into a full accrual basis, so it shows all our liabilities and all of our assets that you don't necessarily see in the fund statements. That has a net position of 11.5 million. It was a decrease of 2.9 million. Most of that is to do with our pension liability. With PERS, we can only make contributions up to up to our payroll amount, so you can't over-contribute to cut down your liability. So our pension expense increased by 4.1 million just based on an actuarial assumption, but our contributions were only 2.4 million. So that's most of our decrease, is something we have absolutely no control over. Again, like I said, our audit opinion was clean. There's the management discussion analysis, our page 4 through 9. Those are a good summary of the financial status of the district for an easy read. and then the rest of the fund statements follow that. Do you have any questions or would like any more details? No?
Do you have any questions, Madam Vice Chair?
I don't have any questions. I just want to compliment you guys on a really great financial report. I find it fascinating that this is a fire district that gets a limited amount of income, and yet they stay financially solvent all the time. And that is a direct result of good management, constant oversight of what you're doing, and it is just reflects extremely positively on you. And that you provide terrific service with all of the fires we had this year, with all the things that happened with COVID and all the other stuff going on. You not only protected all of our boots on the ground, our firefighters who are really working hard for all of us every day, but you managed to do it by keeping your budget solvent and using the taxpayers' dollars wisely. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that this fire district is doing that. So thank you for all you do. Thank you, Chief, for all that you do in your leadership and all of your leadership team, as well as our boots on the ground. Superb job, as always. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other commissioners, Commissioner Hartung or Commissioner Jung, any questions in regards to the CAFR or the audited financial statements?
Chairman, just a comment, unless Commissioner Jung wants to go first.
Go ahead, Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you. So yeah, I too want to commend you guys. Great job. Wonderfully done in a really difficult time. I cannot commend you enough, Chief, staff, everybody. We continue, and this does not surprise me, to be a model in this area for how things are dealt with, and I'm just pleased. And this goes back, Chief, to the way we've added certain pieces of equipment, the fact that we have paramedics on every crew. We've just led, and I say we, I include myself in this, and I think that we as a group have done a great job with your leadership, Chief, and your leadership team. So thank you so much, and onward. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Hartung. Commissioner Jung, do you have anything to add?
No, looks solid for right now, which of course we can't predict anything in the future. And Ms. Vance has done a great job with the budget. And one thing that impresses me about budget gurus is you can ask them about anything and they know exactly where it's at in the budget and how much and where it came from. And that has been so helpful, Ms. Vance. And so I thank you for that. And thank you for being quite conservative with our budget as well, but also coming towards us with presentations in under the chief's direction about ways that we could creatively use our money too to get more bang for our buck. So let's not forget about all the creativity we had to get into at the beginning, and we're still pretty creative, not illegal, but creative and taking risks where we fully know the risks thanks to Ms. Vance and the fire chief. So I think it's well done, and I know you got your raise, well deserved. I wanted to put that on the record. It was never anything personal. It was the uncertainty we were in, but you, if anybody has deserved a raise this year, certainly would be you and the fire chief for standing up and creating a sustainable model that we've never really had in present day Washoe County. So I appreciate you and what the chief has done and what this board as a whole has done to ensure the sustainability. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman.
Truckee Meadows Fire Admiration Society. There just aren't words to describe the success story of this organization. I don't know what to say other than I just am in admiration. Thank you very much for all you do.
Ms. Vance, thank you, Commissioner Herman. Ms. Vance, you've been with us now just a little bit over 2 years, correct?
It'll be 4 years in
Oh, geez. my
January.
goodness. How time flies.
Time flies when you,
I feel like we're in a time warp. I don't know. I don't know if time really makes a difference anymore. But I gotta say, when you came on as our financial officer, this is the type of report, this is the type of findings, these are the type of numbers that any board would ask of their CEO and CFO. This would be exactly how we want to see an operation run, continuing to expand, continuing to provide services. And it is a true testament to what the team has done, the executive team, but also the frontline staff. The entire organization as a whole has done a phenomenal job to continue to maintain the high level fiscal responsibility and sustainability of our district to continue to provide services without minimizing that sacrifice to the general public. And the general public continues, when they come and make requests, we do everything in our power to fulfill those requests and make those realities. And it's the smart fiscal decisions from your team that has led to a quality opinion, a quality edited financial report that puts us first. And I have to thank you for that. The one question that I do have is that with this, or I guess not the statement, the question, but this is a great statement, but the revenues are something that we need to continue to focus on. And I don't want anybody to think that this board isn't going to continue to fight for annexation. It's been one of Commissioner Jung's challenges that we've worked on time and time again to make sure that we can continue to secure the revenue for this organization to continue to provide the quality services and make the adjustments as we can to serve and not just serve Truckee Meadows within our region, but also as we continue to grow and expand. So thank you for that. I do appreciate it. And this board will continue to work for you as well as you've been working for us. So
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. No other comments. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment signed in on this issue?
We do not have any
All right.
signed
Do we have
in.
anybody in on Zoom wishing to speak? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the board. We do, looking for a motion to accept the financial audit.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Madam Vice Chair.
I would move approval and acceptance of the Truckee Meadows Fire District financial audit for 2020.
Fantastic. I have a
Ugly year.
motion from Madam Vice Chair, a second from Commissioner Herman. Seeing no more public comment or discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously with all commissioners voting. Madam Chief, we are on to item 13. Is there a need for a public, closed session for discussing labor issues today?
No, sir, there is not.
All right, we will not open 13, and then we will move on to 14, sir.
14 is Commissioners, Fire Chiefs announcements, requests for information, topics for future agendas, and statements relating to items not on the agenda. A discussion among commissioners will take place on this item.
Okay. Do I have anything from the commissioners on the final discussion? Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I just want to close out my term on the fire district by saying thanks so much. I know you guys are so transparent and you work so hard and you do so many different positive things for this community, and I appreciate that. I will continue to watch you with glee because I know you're going to continue to do it. So thank you, Chief, and thank you to the team.
All right. Anything further from any other commissioners? Commissioner John, Commissioner Hartung?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hartung.
I just would like to wish, I want to thank everyone, first of all, thank the crews for all their hard work, staff for all of their hard work, and wish everyone a healthy, safe holiday season, and look forward to 2021. As far as I'm concerned, 20 cannot be done quick enough.
Correct. All right, Commissioner Herman, I have you signed in.
I don't know why.
Oh, okay. All right, with that, we will close out Commissioner and Fire Chief's announcements. Madam Clerk, we are on to our final public comment, item 15. Do we have any final public comment?
I have nobody signed in.
All right, do we have anybody on Zoom? Seeing nobody and seeing nothing further, we are concluded for our final board meeting of 2020, folks. Thank you very much. See you in 2021.